we can observe a Picasso bashing. There's this exhibition in at the Brooklyn Museum opening soon called Pablo Picasso. What do you think about all that?
Well, I think that, of course, it's very easy if you want to do men's bashing. Of course, the Picasso figure is very emblematic for other reason than what she's talking about. But it's an easy way to, because of course he is so famous, it's an easy way to say what she wants to say about men. But I think it's not really appropriate because, I mean, the fact that she actually dares to compare him to Weinberg, I mean, is ridiculous and a nightmare. Of course, we all know he had this story with Marie-Thérèse, who was 17, but I mean, it's not that he made, that it was constant, that he had girls that were younger than the norm. He had, through his life, rather younger, wives or women around him, but that was for, I suppose, aesthetical reasons. And all the same, he also had friends who were women and women that he worked with, which is something that, people don't speak about. I mean, somebody like Marie Cutoli or Madame Ramier, who was the woman who was doing the ceramic for my father. And he actually—
Marie Cutoli? Who is Marie Cutoli?
So she was quite an extraordinary woman. And she, among other things, decided she would like to make editions of tapestry and carpets, working with famous artists that she knew and loved. And she actually had a beautiful collection of works of my father and other people. I remember when I was a little girl going to a place, and the first thing that was in the entrance was a calder, and I would play with the calder, which was maybe not what I was supposed to do. And behind it, there was a De Chirico, and the whole house was full of extraordinary works of art.
Where was the house? Where was the house?
Oh, the house was in Paris. Actually, it was the apartment that became the last apartment of Yves Saint Laurent. And so I was very moved when he bought the apartment, because it was a place that I'd always gone to as a child, and a place that was very special and unique.
Rue de Babylone.
Rue de Babylone, exactement.
Okay. And so was he misogynistic as a lot of people say? What was his relation to women? Not only sexual, right?
No, of course not. So as I say, he didn't have, I mean, he was not obsessed with sex. I mean, it was obviously a very important part also of his inspiration in his work. But that doesn't mean that he saw women only through the eyes of, Eros.
So until what age did you see him?
I didn't see him for the last 10 years of his life.
But so you
so I saw him basically until I was 15, and then I saw him just a few times. But I mean, until I was 15, I was spending all my holidays, which meant about 3-4 months of the year, I was living with him.
Wow, that's a lot. So you have a real image and a souvenir about your father.
Sure.
So why do you think all that is happening now?
Because, for example, I mean, there's one example, and she's wrote about it. You know that after my mother left him, he made a lot of portraits of a young girl called Sylvette. And I can't remember exactly how he met her, but he met her in Valoris, and he said, he would like to do a portrait. And he certainly did some marvelous portraits. But she said in some articles some years ago that he always was extremely respectful, never, there was never any lecherous approach by my father. So I thought that was quite important, that when it came out. Some friends of mine came out in England because she's English. Some friends of mine sent it to me, and I thought, in a way, why are they sending it to me? Like, does my father need to be, put in a better light? I was surprised in a way, but now I see that it was very good that this happened, because you need to look at him through different eyes, not just through this new tendency of first of all, yes, people like to faire tomber les idoles, comme on dit in French, I don't know. But of course,
Destroy
because
the idols, probably.
yes, exactly, destroy the idols, and he is definitely an idol. uh, and you know, you can't look at the past with the eyes of today. I mean, you have to take some measure of, you know, how he grew up. After all, he's a man who was born in 1981. So the machismo of this period is, of course, quite, you know, prevalent in his frame mind, and mind frame. Yeah. Never mind.
Problem. But for when you were a little girl, did you have you were treated like your brother, or
maybe better even?
ah, really?
Well, yes, I was a very sweet little girl, and I was very quiet, and so he allowed me to stay next to him while he was painting, because I could spend 2 hours next to him doing my own drawings for, you know, 2 hours, 3 hours on a row, and not utter a word. So anyway, so I never thought that he treated women, you know, differently than men, at least from my eyes as a child. Then obviously I didn't have the man, you know, man-woman relation with him, because I'm his daughter. It's a different kind of rapport, I suppose.
But at what point he refused to see you anymore, you and your
And
brother?
that's a more complicated subject, and I think it has to do a lot more with my stepmother than with my father, because she did the same to Maya. Maya didn't see my father for many, many, many years. And I think that when we were children, she didn't see us as threats. But once we got to be adolescents, you know, she felt that maybe we would judge her and not want her around. And so she then took the fact that my mother wrote the book, you know, the Life with Picasso, to say no, they're taking their mother's side and they shouldn't be around. And she made this whole actually there was a petition against my mother's book that was organized by her and some friends of hers. So yeah, I never felt that I had a problem with my father directly, and actually I did happened to see him on 2 or 3 occasions. And the thing that once it was over, I regretted was I didn't say, you know, but, you know, do you know that I'm coming to see you? Do you know that I'm ringing the bell and they're telling me you're not there? And I didn't do it at the time, because I thought I would just take in all the pleasure of just being with him. But I frankly, and he didn't reproach me anything. And so I never felt that he didn't love me. So that's actually was a great strength.
With all these stories, you seem kind of peaceful.
Yes, because I'm very, I do very deeply think that he never stopped loving me, and the fact that I didn't see him didn't have to do directly with him and I. And then there's such a thing as forgiveness. And I don't think that I need to forgive him. I don't have anything to forgive him. Maybe I have something to forgive my stepmother.
But he was not an easy man, right? Everything was oriented on the direction of the work.
Yes, exactly. So, but that's something that I recognized very early on. Also, you have to understand that my mother is also a painter. So, on the contrary, to me, I always said that I would have hated to have so-called normal parents. I was very happy to live in a world where creativity was really at the center of our life. Creativity was the best quality anybody could have, rather than other things. And of course, the fact that, of course, their friends were also very often artists, made me live in a world that was a rather enchanted world.
Mm-mm. That's good. And what do you think?
And also, yes, I would also say that, you know, when I was growing up, I suppose by the time I got to be 13 or something, people started speaking about women's liberation. And I couldn't understand what they were talking about. And I would think, what do these women want? I thought, you know, I thought they were like me. I thought they had it all. I mean, I had my mother in front of me living like people were hoping to live. It took me about 2 years to understand what these women were asking for was actually what I was seeing in front of my eyes every day.
And what will the posterity remember about what's going on now? Do you think the work of
I think it will pass. I think it's an exaggeration, and like and it's of course it's an exaggeration because women have been put under, let's say, for many years, and there were times when, I mean, like if you think of the surrealist women, there are many surrealist women who had a career at the time, and now they were forgotten for maybe 40 years, and now they're coming back and everybody's talking about them. And that's great. And I think that my father would not resent that for anything in the world. I mean, after all, you know, he had, I mean, Dora Maar was a great artist, and Franc oise Gilot, my mother, is a great artist. So he was, you know, he was not afraid of being in a relationship with somebody who was also a creator and who was a
very
woman.
strong, right?
And very strong, absolutely.
And you think there's still one subject about your father to explore, because from food to everything is explored in his work, right?
Yes, but well, it's such a rich body of work to begin with, and then now, yes, they're going into every detail. But I think that people will go on looking at it and finding new interesting things, and also as life goes on, then some things that were maybe not relevant 20 years ago will become relevant 20 years from now. I think there's a lot to find in this creation. I mean, it is the most incredible, because we always tend to say, you know, the greatest painter of the century. Well, for sure, he is the greatest sculptor of the century by far. Then you go look at the ceramics. People who only did ceramics all their life never did as many ceramics as my father did. Then you go and look at engravings. I mean, it's amazing what he did. And in everything that he touched, he invented new techniques, new ways of doing things, always putting himself on the line every time, and reinventing himself over and over.
And but you still go to, for example, Picasso Museum, or you feel like you know everything?
No, I was just there 2 days ago. But I don't go to every Picasso show that exists in the world. Otherwise, I would not be doing anything else, actually. No, it's nice to go back to museums. I mean, the same, not just for Picasso, but generally, there are some museums, when you go back, you discover different things, because when you go and look at some works, you absorb certain things. So then the next time you go, you've absorbed those things, so you discover other things that catch your eye.
Merci beaucoup. Thanks
Merci.
a lot.
Okay.